It's just money. It's made up. Pieces of paper with pictures on it so we don't have to kill each other just to get something to eat. It's not wrong, and it's certainly no different today than it's ever been. 1901, 07, 29, 1937, 1974, 1987, Jesus, 92, 97, 2000, and whatever we want to call this. It's all just the same thing over and over. We can't help ourselves. We just react. And we make a lot of money if we get it right.
Welcome to Market Makers, everyone. Your home for tomorrow's TA today. The Bitcoin video, the crypto video is already out. We're going to look at the S&P, look at the SPDR, the Qs, the NASDAQ futures, a couple individual stocks, and go over what we have for the summer rally. Remember, this last pivot on July 10th, the pivot date to the day, gave you the new all-time high in the S&P. You made another new all-time high today. Powell came out, or not Powell, the inflation came out. The inflation numbers came out today. CPI overall was up 1/10. Core was down again. Okay, 5 months of declining the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. However, I don't think that's going to give you a cut in July unless Powell has just been beaten to a pulp by Trump, because I think Powell would view that as caving. Capitulation, giving in. So you have that Fed meeting the 29th and 30th at the end of the month. The next Fed meeting is not till September. So the base case for me is you got this last 2 weeks of runway. Are we starting to make our top for the summer drop now, or do we get the last couple weeks to get up to my summer rally target on S&P futures, 64.36, 65.22? We're going to find out here as the next week or two progress. That's the timeline, the runway we have, because I think if Powell doesn't cut, I think you're doing exactly what the market has done the last 2 years in a row. You had a early or mid-July top, 10.5% retracement in 24. You had a late July top, followed by an 11% retracement in 2023. We have an extended rally, the third strongest move in stock market history, an extended rally that has not retraced. If we come up to target, guys, we're going to get that retracement. Could be 8%. I'm expecting 10% based on the last two fractals. We'll see how it plays out, but that's when the big dumb money's going to come in. And then you want to definitely be long because we have higher targets to go in this market cycle. 71.22, 74.42. Okay, let's go ahead and progress. Guys, if you want to join our Discord, by the way, go to marketmakers.trade, our website, join right through the website. You can also join through YouTube. You can join our Discord, or if you want to just see our videos from our Discord, my market updates, any special videos I do, my staff does, we're going to be putting all of those in the members only section on YouTube. So if you want those videos and you don't want to have to access a website or join a Discord, you'll get all of the member benefits on YouTube as well. So you can join there, and we'll be uploading those this week. My education series, a lot of people have been asking about, that will be in the members only section on YouTube. Simplified version of this rally, guys. Again, you can see the dojis we're throwing up here on the 3-day time frame on the ES futures. Really want to see 64.36 get hit. We got all the way up to 63.43 today. So just about 90 points away from hitting that target. And you got about 2 weeks to get there. It's definitely possible. You can feel the momentum, even though we're in extreme greed. It's starting to stall a bit. You got to get some money in the market, some type of catalyst. We also have the August 1st tariff deadline. So again, all lining up for the drop, okay? Best case scenario would be a very shallow drop, but I think you're going to come down to fill that capitulation gap at 5,700. If you were to do that after we top, let's just assume 64.36. It's right in line with the last two retracements, last 2 years in a row. 10, 11%, guys. Anything shallower, obviously, is extremely bullish. If you do something like 5%, 8%, very, very bullish. That 10% retracement is very bullish and normal. And then we're progressing to the upside from there as well. By the way, I drew these tops out. If you watched my Bitcoin video, you know, looking at this market cycle, if you start the cycle from the pandemic low, again, Bitcoin top November 2021. And the NASDAQ top November 2021. The Russell top November 2021. The S&P ran out, remember, to January 3rd. It ran out to January 3rd and then top. So the way I drew this for this cycle top, I have January 2026 here, just assuming it does the same thing as 2021. And I'm assuming we would get to that 7122 level. That's my Archie AI market model top. And then, of course, if this was to go to 7,500, I drew this out to that spring time frame, or equinox date, March, April time frame, okay? Those would be the two key points I'd be tracking. Obviously, we don't have a top yet. We don't have a retracement yet. Again, this is just forecasting projections based on this market cycle, but that's what I'm looking at, because a lot of people are asking me about the timing in the marketplace. When we look at our cycles, again, we hit this beautifully. July 10th, new all-time high right on the lunar cycle, right? The next one, by the way, is July 24th. So I want to pay attention to that. And of course, the Fed on the 29th and 30th, and then tariffs on August 1st. Lots of catalysts to be putting in a top and get that nice retracement. When we look at this on the 1 hour time frame, S&P futures, I mean, this is what you got to do. You got to exit this trading range. You've been in this trading range since July 3rd, 63.33. Got to get above it, and you're so close, that 64.50 level, let's call it. So close to that level, and then we hit Fibonacci, and then we're going to be looking for topping patterns for that decline, okay? Because I want to get short if we get up to my target, make a topping pattern, be beautiful. What does that mean for the spider? The translation for that is 642 was my low end on the spider to 654. I want to see that hit here in the next 2 weeks on the spider. Then the retracement. Again, how deep is the retracement? It's going to mimic the futures, so we'll have to see how it retraces, but I would expect at least down to 580, potentially down to that 561 level, so we got to see how that plays out. I would expect similar retracements to the S&P futures. If we look at the Qs, guys, we're at target, just like NASDAQ futures. We literally hit the target to the dollar today, got a dollar above it, 559.37. I have this up to 580 to 587, depending what the S&P wants to do the last 2 weeks of this month, right? But you're at target now. Again, we've achieved Fibonacci, been over these ranges. We've achieved this target, so now we're going to be looking for exhaustion and topping patterns. Because remember, tech led these rallies, oversized gains in tech. So you want to watch that level of 559. You're at 559.49 as I'm recording this. And let's go ahead and move forward. NASDAQ futures, of course, mimicking, parroting, doing the exact same thing as the S&P last 2 years in a row. You had a mid-July top in 23, 12% retracement. Early July top, the actual date was July 11th, which was yesterday. Early July top, then a 17% retracement, and you're at target just like the Qs. 23,050. You got all the way up to 23,222. Expect the NASDAQ to outperform on the upside and the downside. Very similar to Bitcoin, guys. So looking for that. We'll be updating you on topping patterns as they arrive, as we get more mature into the month. Simplified version, guys. Again, you're right at the summer rally. You got just above it. So it's time to pay attention to the NASDAQ. Then we'll be looking at these potential declines. I would like to see the gap filled, the capitulation gap at 20,288. So that would be the decline if we come down there once we top. And again, we don't have a top yet, but let's just measure where that would be. Something like 12, 13%, which is exactly what we did in a prior top in 2023, 12%. So we'll watch it, monitor it, see what happens. 8 hour time frame, you can see the NASDAQ obviously is bullish, broke out of its trading range, trying to go sideways on the trading range. You know, I think the NASDAQ can still move up a little bit, especially if Bitcoin obviously gets to my higher level target of 132. So again, it's just something we have to watch to see how it pans out. When we look at Tesla, Tesla's in a coil, guys. I mean, you've just been coiling. We had that great trade off the lows on Tesla, nice 70% gain. We got our profits. And since then, with the Elon and the news and the politics, you're in a coil. The coil is tightening. This will resolve to the upside or resolve to the downside. Just because the indice may be pushing up doesn't mean the individual stock will be. But the key levels of support to pay attention to, 290, which you're holding and you've tested a couple times, 272, which you've tested a couple times. So you're at 313. Key level to take out is 357, followed by 367. Price does not have a bias. It's going sideways right now. So it's really going to depend on the next couple of weeks if Tesla can try a surge here into the end of the month, or if you're just coiling for a downward resolution with the retracement. Unknown at this juncture. However, we look at Hood. This is a popular one. People are trading on the Discord. Right to target, 99.62 to 105. That's the area you should watch. Hood is at 99.26. This completes a Fibonacci pattern. Got some resistance here. Hood could participate, obviously, if we get some more push up in the S&P and the NASDAQ. But if things start topping, especially the beta that has been participating heavily in the rally, it's a sign, guys. It's just another sign of confluence for a top to be coming in. Check out my next video update, guys. Hope to see you in the Discord. Talk to everybody soon.